so in this process, in writing letters, I actually sent the IRS every 1099 that I had. I was an independent contractor at that time, and had asked them if the dollar amounts in box 7, which I think clearly states that it's non-employee compensation, if those dollar amounts represented income for me that would cause me to, or would make me liable or cause me to have to file a 1040. And I sent that to our local office there in Memphis. And the first time they lost it. I got a thing back saying they'd lost all the attachments, so I sent it again, which is basically a filing. I sent them all the information. And I finally got a letter back stating that the general term income is not defined in the Internal Revenue Code. And, this really intrigued me, and in getting ready for my testimony, the Lord kind of gave me this little thing of, if I want to know, of course they came back and said that it starts at gross income. And then the definition of gross income is all income. So, you're starting to define a term with itself. So I said, if I wanted, I'm just an old country boy, if I want to know what a gross dog is, I got to know what a dog is first. And it really got the jury, because they wasn't expecting that, but I thought it really nailed it down, because you don't know. Here they are trying to collect an income tax, and the code has, I think, over 2,000 pages in it. I forget how many sections. And like I said, they didn't write this code the way they did to try to save money. So obviously, the definition of income has been left out for a reason. And here we go again with this ambiguity of, if nobody knows what income is, everybody's supposed to believe it's everything. So I think that was a turning point when I helped people, the jury, see that there's no definition of income. So how is anybody supposed to fill out this 1040 and say what their income was? And then to sign it under penalties of perjury is almost a joke, if you think about it. Because if they don't know what income is, and you don't know what it is, how are you going to sign it and say you're swearing to this to the best of your knowledge? Mr. Collier said something to the effect that, all these people are criminals or something, that, he's really trying to play them down because they had made a few mistakes or they had tested some law or some beliefs. And so it came to me that the Apostle Paul was a known murderer, and yet by the grace of God he became one of the greatest of all the apostles. Mr. Collier said, now, Mr. Long, are you putting George Gordon in a category with the Apostle Paul? I said, well, no, but I'm just trying to say that just because somebody has made one mistake doesn't make everything they've done wrong. And then it seemed like it turned from that point on, because obviously a lot of these people have done a lot of good things. George Gordon has got out a lot of good information about Supreme Court cases, and they never once tried to refute any of the Supreme Court cases that I mentioned. We actually gave up at one point. Can I put that in?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. The stress got so bad from neighbors and friends and family that I just called the IRS, sent them a letter, said, I want to settle this thing. Can we get together? Amnesty had come out in an actual paper. So they just were sure that if we'd go down and talk to them, that we could get this thing settled and get it out of the way. They were extremely surprised that we showed up.
I think that I showed up with you.
Yeah, but we sat down, and basically I told them that, I said, I don't understand why you can't answer my questions, but I'm under so much pressure that I am willing to concede. If you'll get me with whoever I need to sit down with and figure out what you think I owe, I'll try my best to set up some way to pay it. And we told them how we built our house, how much it cost. I mean, you know, any question they had, we answered. And then when we got through, we kind of said, well, where do we go from here? And they looked at us and said, well, you know, we only have two options. And one of them is that I think you have to plead guilty to willful failure to file. The other was, and I don't remember all the details to it, and they just looked at us and said, that's not what we hear you saying you want to do. And I thought, well, no, don't want to plead guilty because I haven't done anything wrong, but I said, I want some relief. And they said, well, we'll have to finish our investigation, and that'll probably take about a year, and then we'll file our report. So we left there feeling worse than we did when we went. And, you know, here I am, you know, so I just knew we had really fouled up. This was a terrible mistake. No patriot would have even gone in there without a tape recorder and 3 or 4 witnesses. But I'm telling you that to say this. God is bigger than any mistake we can make. And when you're doing it for the right purposes, which if you're in this for the money, you better get out. If you're in it because you want to do what's right, then God will honor it. I know He has in our case. He delivered me through this, and not because I'm some noble or anything else, but I had a desire in my heart for people who haven't had the time to study like I have, and who haven't gotten a glimpse of what's going on, for sister-in-laws who are just struggling to get by, and for a gentleman that I grew up, taught me how to drive, who couldn't read and write, worked all of his life for minimum wage. You know, he'd never have an opportunity to try to learn and defend himself. But that's why we got to do it, because we are our brother's keeper. And those of us who have been called to this have got to take up the banner and keep going. There's just no question about it. We have to resist. And I'm going to call it evil, because anything that's deceptive has got to be evil. Because God does not deal in deception. And we know who does. So anything that's deceptive is not of God. And we can believe that. And we have to operate on that. And when you don't think you can stand, you just got to keep standing. So they chose to really come against me. You know, all they'd had to done was sent me a letter from the court requesting me to appear. I would have appeared. But no, they came, 4 of them, arrested me at the hospital, handcuffed me and hauled me all the way to Chattanooga. You know, it was obvious that they wanted as big a splash as they could get. And the Lord flipped it on them, as He's been known to do many times. And I just praise the Lord for how he came in and what He did.